More. More. Just one? More. Just the pants? Gonna get awful wet. More. There we go. Ooh, outdoor navigator. Definitely more. More. Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the Outdoor Navigator. So there a minute ago, you saw some examples where mower was better. I mean, was it really? You know, sometimes I question that. I've been doing that a lot here recently with fishing tackle. You know, over the years, I bought tons of it. Okay, did I need all of it? Between you and me, probably not. But now I told my wife I needed it, so let's keep that on the down low. But yeah, I have bought baits and baits and baits. You know, I was convinced, okay, either by watching fishing shows, YouTube, or going out there on the lake and just casting and not catching anything, just, hey, I'm not fishing with the right thing. And, you know, these big bait companies, they love to push, you know, more, you know. Hey, there's this strategy, there's that strategy. You know, you identify this pattern, you need to fish this. You fish this pattern, you need this. You know, it's always something that you need. You know, you need more. Well, I don't know if you all noticed, but like when you watch those big tournament series now, you're seeing those guys, they've got more. They've got big old screens, okay? Big old screens, a lot more than what they used to, okay? And they're using those screens and that forward-facing sonar and all that high-speed equipment to locate fish, okay? Because the key to catching fish is knowing where they are. So they're finding these fish, they're identifying them, and are they throwing 500 different baits? Probably not, because what I found out is, do you really need all those baits? Maybe you just need some kind of simple bait. On a jig head, you find the fish, you throw it out there, and then you just bounce it around. You just bounce it around, enticing that fish till he comes up and hits it. You know, video game style. And, you know, I don't know, is that the key to success? I mean, it seems to be trending right now. You know, that's not my game of fishing. You know, more power to the ones that do that. Hey, if that's what you do, I'm not putting you down. I mean, you're out there catching fish. Maybe you're fishing for a living. You know, if I was fishing for a living, I would probably do whatever I had to do to catch fish. But for just the average guy that likes to get out on the water, just being, you know, just likes being out there in the sun, just likes looking around, seeing all the scenery, gets more out of just being there. I mean, for me, that's a win right there. So even if I'm out there and I don't catch fish, I still won. Now, do I like catching fish? Well, heck yeah, I do. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love pulling in a big old bass. Pulling it in so you all can see it, so I showed off to my buddies. And, you know, hey, I was out there on the hunt and I found something. I won. You know, I don't know, maybe it's that. But, you know, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So, like I said, over the years, I've been out there searching for them. So, when I used to go out on the lake, I took a whole bunch of tackle. I mean, I took tons of stuff. And I'm going to show you what I used to take. And I'm going to show you what I do now, because is more better or is less best? Let's talk about that a little bit. All right, so we'll start up here in the front. You know, this is how much stuff I would take. All right, so right off the bat, okay, right up here in front. Okay, terminal tackle. there would be my hooks and sinkers and jig heads and all that kind of stuff. All right, so there's 2 things. All right, so now under this seat, okay, I don't know if y'all can see, but under my seat had some secret little things hid under here. Okay, here's a box of dark colored worms. Pull those out. All right, here's a box full of all things, light colored worms. All right, let's move on back. All right, behind the seat. Hey, we got another box. What we got in here? Trailers, craws, lizards, tubes. All right, more stuff. And then we get back here to the back, okay, my crate. All right, now I got this soft crate, this Plano soft crate. I really like this thing. I did a review on it, and y'all can check it out. Works really good for me. There's all kinds of different crates out there, but you know, this was a place where I could store all kinds of stuff. So we get it opened up, but oh, wait a minute. Before we get open it up too much, let's look up here on top. All right, I got baits in here. All right, there's some baits. Okay, some crank baits, some spinner baits, different things. All right, we'll get back to that in a minute. And then once we get inside here, let's look. All right, we got top water. All right, we got some medium running crank baits. I think there's also some hook baits in there. We got top water, jigs. All right, small, deep crankbaits, medium crankbaits, large crankbaits. You know, here's one full of, I think, spinner baits and bladed jigs. Now, here's my bladed jigs. So, you know, all that stuff. I mean, just all that stuff in this boat. Okay, so way back in the day when I first had this kayak, or when I fished out of some of my other kayaks, when I took all this stuff, it was a pain in the butt. Because I had to load and unload all these things every time. Okay, a lot of weight moving. It was a whole lot of work moving all that stuff. Now it helped, okay, when I got these native watercraft sidekicks, okay, that helped a little bit because I could load all this stuff in there and just wheel it right down to the water. But I was still taking all that stuff. I mean, it was a task getting all this stuff loaded up in the boat. Mower, mower, mower. Now, did mower equate to more fish? It did not. It did not. All right, so, you know, we're talking a little bit about the concept, is more better or is less best? So, you know, before I had all these boxes. And, you know, this isn't all my tackle, but this is a bunch of tackle. And this is what typically would go with me. So, a couple weeks ago, you might have seen me out and about going to the old swap meet, and when I was there, I mean, I could not believe the amount of tackle that I saw. Just tons, like every crankbait you could think of. And I was just really sitting there thinking to myself, does a man need all this? I mean, he convinces himself that he does, or she. You know, you convince yourself that I need all this to catch fish, but you really don't. I mean, you really don't. You could probably get away with taking one bait. And sometimes I do that if I want to learn how to fish new bait. I just take one bait and fish with it all day. But I'm going to show you how I thinned it down, okay? So first things first. Now, with terminal tackle, you know, I've got these 2 little boxes here, and I felt like that I could go ahead and keep these, okay? So in here, I've got my sinkers, got hooks, jig heads, different rig ups that I could use if I need to, okay? So I felt like, hey, I should probably go ahead and keep these, and I got them in these 2 little boxes, and they store pretty easy right up under my seat. So, going to keep those. Now, all this other stuff, you know, I've got boxes on boxes of all kinds of different baits, all kinds of different plastics, trailers. I like to fish worms a whole lot, Texas rig worms. So I've got tons of different worms, all kinds of different colors, curly tails and fire tails and every kind of tail that you can think of. I mean, just tons of different worms. So do I need to take all those? Well, I sure don't. So what I do most of the time is I just rely on past experience, okay? So I have found that in the beginning of the year, when it's just starting to warm up, Probably still a little bit too cold for them, but I've got spring fever so bad that I can't wait to get on the lake, so I go hit it. But what I find is those fish haven't moved up into that shallow water yet, okay? So I'm typically going to fish something a little bit deeper, okay? So I'll go through my baits, you know, and based on the color of the water, you know, if I know that it's been raining a whole lot and the water's going to be stained, you know, it's early in the year, a lot of times I'll bring a darker colored lure. So I'll just kind of go through my baits and I'll be like, hey, you know, I've always done good with this one. I mean, I remember, you know, I'll take me this purple culprit. I love culprit worms. I'll take it. Maybe I'll mix it up a little bit. Hey, brown worm with, you know, that orange tail. Let's try that one. Firetail's always good. You know, I always like to take a good firetail. Now, do I need to take every worm that's in this bag? I sure don't. Here's a black firetail, curly firetail. Okay? I'm going to take it. So out of all these, I'm just going to go with 3. Okay? That's all I'm going to take. As far as plastics. Or plastic worms. Okay? That's as much as I'm going to take as far as plastic worms. So I got these 3. Alright, so next thing. Do I want to take a lighter colored bait? I mean, I'm fishing darker water, but, you know, everything I read tells me, hey, you know, you should probably go with dark. But you know what? Who knows? I mean, you can't never tell. So, you know, here's a light colored culprit, one of my favorites, again. And this cotton candy. Had a lot of luck with that all through the year. Alright, so cotton candy. So I just took 2. Got 2 baits out of the light color. Bam. Left all them other ones. Don't need all of them. Alright, trailers. Alright, so I'll probably fish, you know, maybe I want to fish a swim bait. Maybe I want to put a trailer on a bladed jig. Okay, sometimes early in the year I find a bladed jig to be pretty good. All right, so hey, here's a good swim bait combination. All right, I'm gonna take that there. I'll fish that. I can fish that, you know, on the bottom, or I can retrieve it. I got multiple places I can use it. And you know, most of the things in here I think are all crawfish. So I'll just take that one. And what else we're gonna take? Let's look here. Put this over here. All right, so let's just get, let's say we want to swim, we want to take a swim bait, okay? Let's say we want to fish a swim bait. All right, so hey, natural shad, that's always a good choice. Okay, we'll go with that. And let's do something with a little bit of color. Let's see here. I tell you what, I like. Well, let's just go with that right there. It's right there and it keeps looking at me. Okay, with the little kick tail there, we'll go with this. All right, so 2 baits out of it. And that's that. This here. All right, so in this one here, I got these stick baits and stuff like that. Okay, I like to use them on a wacky rig. I'm not saying that early in the year you can't catch fish with that, but typically, when it's still cold out, I'm probably not going to fish this. So, we'll save this for another day, but the next time when it's warming up and I'm picking things out, I'll probably go with that. Now, you might catch them in the cold with those, and if you do, hey, throw something in the comments. Like, I don't know it all. I'm just guessing. I'm going out fishing on this particular day in the early part of the year, and this is what I'm going to take with me. So, hey, drop some comments and tell me what you take different times of the year. If you have a certain bait that's your go-to, okay, that you always take with you. So my go-to is always going to be a culprit worm, you know, rigged Texas rigged. That's just what my dad taught me growing up. I feel comfortable that I can catch fish when I have that. So, you know, that's always my go-to if I'm not catching anything. So top water. You know what? I don't know, this time of year, I don't feel real confident in top water. you know, when it's still cold. But you never know. On that warm day, you never know what happens, okay? Maybe up in those creek channels, the water starts warming up a little bit faster. That bait, okay, you want to look for that bait, okay, that food that those fish are feeding on. So if I get up in that warmer water and I start seeing shad, okay, then there's a good chance that the fish are going to follow, okay, because they like to eat. I like to eat. So, you know, you kind of, the big fish are going to go where the food is. So, you know what? Maybe I should take something. I tell you what. One of my favorites is the Ozar Spook. All right, I'm going to take it because I can cast it out. I can throw it way out there and cover a whole lot of water. You know, it's got a lot of action to it. I can fish it a bunch of different ways. So, you know what? I'm going to take this with me too. But that's all the top order I'm going to take. All right. Small crankbaits, okay. You know, I like to take a crankbait with me, especially this time of year, you know, because you never know what kind of depth of water that you're going to catch them in. So I'll just, you know, these are 2 bomber baits. I'll just take one dark and one light. Hey, we'll just go that way. All right, we'll do that. All right, we go to our large crankbaits, okay, the ones that dive down a little bit deeper. Now, this time of year, this is kind of where I think that these fish might be hanging out. So, you know, I like this one here. Well, I tell you what, I like this wiggle wart looking bait. So, I'm going to take it. It's going to get down there. It's going to have a whole lot of action. Okay, this time of year when those fish are a little lethargic, you know, something that's moving around a whole lot, making some noise. I like the idea of that. And that's a little bit darker bait, that shad color. I tell you what, I'll go ahead and even better. Let's do a countdown bait. Okay, you can't beat the old rattle trap. All right, so that gives me a little, you know, something else in my arsenal. I'm not going to take all these. I'm just going to take a couple, okay, that I can fish a little bit different depths of water, okay, different depths in that water channel, okay. I can count that down, go even deeper, and one with a whole lot of action, okay, to entice that fish into that reactionary strike. All right, so we got that. Spinner baits. One of the most versatile baits there is. I mean, that's just all there is to it, man. I've caught so many fish on spinner baits. I mean, it's crazy. So there's no way that I'm not going to take one with me. Now, like I said, this time of year, you know, I feel pretty confident with the darker colors, okay? And I like this big old blade, okay? I like a whole lot of wobble this time of year. All right, and I like this trailer that I got on here. Gives it a little bit more action, okay? Big old wobble, so I'm gonna take that dark one. And you know what? I'm gonna take a light colored one too. All right, once again, all right, got that bigger blade for a lot more movement in the water, and I got this little tail back here kicking, okay? Because I just feel like this time of year, when the water's still cold, and you're trying to get their attention, they're cold, they don't really want to do a whole lot. Hey, I'm like that too. When it gets cold, I don't do a whole lot. I don't go fishing a whole lot. So, you know, I feel like that those fish need to be coaxed, okay, into biting. So I like something that just irritates them to death, and they just can't stand it, and then they just have to eat it. They just have to. All right. So we got that. All right, jigs. All right, jigs. I want a jig. I definitely want a jig this time of year. I definitely want a jig any time of the year. I mean, I see all the time when you ask people what bait would you take with you if you just had one bait, and jig is always it. And I definitely want to take one this time of year. If you have noticed, so I'm fishing all parts of the water column. You know, I've got something for all parts of it. I got the top covered. I got medium level, okay? I've got deeper down, and now we're going to fish on the bottom. So I like this big old football headed jig right here. I mean, check this out. All right. We got a whole lot of, I may trim this back a little bit, but you know, got this crawfish on here. Give it a little bit of action when you're bouncing it up and down off the bottom. And I think this here, I definitely want to take that with me because I want to be on the bottom and I want to make sure that I don't neglect that part of the water column. So I'm going to take that one, and then like usual, like I told you, I like to fish a couple different colors. So I'm going to go with something a whole lot different, okay? We got a darker color, okay? We got a little bit more action where you got this, I would call this like a jointed jig. So I like the way it's rigged up. I'm probably going to tuck that in there so I don't get hung up on nothing. And I'm going to go with that. So, different jigs. I ended up going with 2 of them. Now, different parts of the year, I'm just talking about right now. I'm talking about early season because I'm getting set up right now for the next trip I take, okay, which is coming up here pretty soon. But later on in the year, like I said, when I get back in here and I start picking some other things, you know, when it starts warming up, I like the idea of a topwater bait, okay? And when it gets real warm and you got all that moss out there on the water, okay, you're going to want something like a frog where you can throw up on top of it. So I'm going to add that to my collection, you know, when I'm fishing different times of the year. Like I told you a minute ago, I like a wacky rig, okay? When the water warms up, I like that a whole lot. So I'm going to bust that out. All right, as it starts warming up, hey, I like swim baits. I like swim jigs, okay? My jig fishing, I kind of come up off the bottom and, you know, I just swim that bait. You know, it's a cast and retrieve, bringing it back, not so much dragging it on the bottom. You know, all kinds of different techniques. But the key to this is I'm not taking every bit of tackle. I started with all this. Okay? And I slimmed it down to that right there. So guys, you know, is more better? Well, in my case, I don't think it is. Now, if I had a bass boat, okay, and, you know, I would probably just keep it loaded with all this tackle. I'd probably keep it all on there because you know what, that bass boat can handle. But now when I'm out on my kayak and I'm loading and unloading and all that different kind of stuff, I have found that over the years that it just makes it simpler, okay? Just keep it simple. I found that I catch the same amount of fish. I mean, I could sit out there and change baits all day long. I could take every bit of tackle I had. I'm just kind of chasing it, you know? I'm chasing. Like, I don't know what to fish with. And I just spend more time changing baits than I do out in the water, you know, targeting fish and enticing a bite. So, you know, I found that I don't have to take everything. You know, what I do is I just use information that I have. I look at the weather, okay, and figure out, you know, what temperature is going to be. I use past experience, okay. What did I catch them on last time I went, okay, last year at this time? You know, what were they biting on? And I take a little bit of everything, okay. I don't take it all. I just take a little bit of everything. That way I can mix it up a little bit. You know, if I'm out there and I'm like, man, I just keep seeing stuff hitting on top of the water. Well, I can go ahead and change it up, okay, because I brought some top water. All right, so let me show you how I store it, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, guys, so the verdict is more better or is less best? Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's going to be whatever works best for you, okay? But I wanted to show you that, hey, it isn't important that you take everything with you. You don't have to. Some of you that are hauling boats, you know, over creek banks and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's just impossible to take all that, you know, a crazy amount of tackle with you. I mean, it just doesn't work. And, you know, if you're loading in and out of trucks and that kind of stuff, and you've got all that bait, all those fishing baits and all those bags, you know, it can be cumbersome. And I tell you what it ends up doing. The more work it is to go fishing, the less likely you are to go fishing. Okay, you need to make it easy. And that's what I found. I mean, I have found that the easier I make it to get from point A to point B. So point A being the couch to point B being the lake. Okay, the easier I make it, the more likely that I'm going to do it. So, you know, over the years, I've tried to downsize a lot of things. I've tried to find ways to make getting out on the water a little bit easier, okay, with a little pre-planning and, you know, just experience. Over the years, you find out, you know, I have found out that I don't need all that stuff. Now, I hope my wife doesn't watch this video because I still buy a lot of stuff. I mean, I still do. I mean, I still fall victim to it. I mean, just like you seen a couple weeks ago, I went to the swap meet and I ended up buying stuff. But, you know, I'm not going to take all that stuff with me, that's for sure. But I do have it in my arsenal. And, you know, before I go, I do a little pre-planning. I get my stuff together. I put it in the boat. And then I go out there and I execute my plan. So, you know, plan your work and work your plan. All right, so here's what I got. All right, I told you all, terminal tackle, I was going to take it. Okay, I've got some storage up under my seats, and that's where I put that. And I'm going to put some links in the description. I've done a couple videos where I show you my setup and kind of how I got things rigged up to make it easier for me. So I'll put a link right up in the card to one of them, and I'll put in the description a couple more videos. And hey, I want to know what your ideas are. So if you've got ideas on how you do things, put them down in the comments, because I'm all about learning. That's for sure, because I don't know it all. I can tell you that for sure. All right, so the next thing, I loaded up those baits I showed you. Okay, those crankbaits, spinner baits, and those jigs. Okay, look, not much of anything. So on that same soft crate that I showed you, and I will put a video link in the description where I did a review on it, but it came with these little saddle bags. You see one over there, and you see I got one right here. Okay, I've got them mounted, and when I'm sitting in that seat, they're easy to get to. So in this first one, all right, I'm gonna put this Plano in there. All right, I'm gonna put it in there, and those baits are gonna be right there waiting for me. Now, for my plastics that I picked out, I've got another one of those bags over here. I'm going to put them in there, okay? Going to stuff them in there. All right, easy to get to. And, you know, that's that. Zip that up. So, you know, what am I taking with me? That right there, that's it. You know, the rest of my boat is wide open, you know, keeping it simple. I don't need all that stuff. I really don't. I do like to have some variety. I do like to pick through it, but I found over the years that, you know, I probably took way too much tackle with me because I only used, I'd say only used 2% of what I took. I mean, when I really look at it, just took too much. So, hey, keep it simple. For me, less is best. For you, hey, more might be it. You know, at the end of the day, it's what's best for you. It's about getting out on that water. It's about getting outdoors. It's about making your life better because you're navigating outdoors. And that's what it's all about. So guys and girls, I appreciate you for stopping by. That's all I've got for now. I would do more, but we're just going to go with less. So I'll see you in the next episode.